It all started with a smell, not just any smell, but the very scent once tied to Princess Diana herself, the mother Harry adored and lost too soon. Imagine this. The night Meghan Markle first crossed paths with Prince Harry, she was allegedly wearing Diana's favorite perfume. To Harry, it wasn't just a fragrance, it was memory, it was fate, it was destiny whispering in the air. But for those who knew Meghan well, they insist this wasn't fate at all, it was preparation. A carefully laid trap meant to tug at Harry's deepest emotions, the ones he could never resist. And now, after 10 long years of silence, Trevor Engelson, Meghan's ex-husband, is finally peeling back the curtain. He's revealing that what the world thought was a magical love story may have been manipulation all along. The question isn't whether Harry fell in love, it's whether he ever even had a choice. For a whole decade, Trevor said nothing. He didn't sell stories to tabloids. He didn't write a tell-all. He didn't even leave breadcrumbs about his marriage to Meghan. Instead, he moved on, built his career, started a family, and let the world obsess over Meghan's transformation from actress to duchess. And that silence? That gave him something rare: credibility. Because when someone keeps quiet for years and then finally speaks, people listen. And what Trevor has allegedly revealed now? It isn't petty gossip. It isn't bitter ex-talk. It's darker, far more dangerous. Shocking details that flip Meghan's entire fairy tale upside down. See, Meghan has spent years micromanaging her narrative. She's silenced critics, reshaped headlines, and turned herself into the eternal victim of the crown. But Trevor's voice? That's the one thing she could never control, because he's not a palace insider, he's not a royal reporter, he's not some random critic. He's the man who knew her before the cameras, before the crown, before the fairy tale. And one of Trevor's most disturbing claims? It doesn't even involve Harry directly. It goes back years before Meghan ever shook his hand. People close to Trevor insist Meghan once created a vision board. Yes, the kind you pin your dreams on: houses, careers, family. But Meghan's wasn't about ordinary dreams. Smack in the center of that board was Prince Harry. Think about it. Harry wasn't fate. He wasn't romance. He was a target, a goal. Meghan studied the royals, mapped her route, and pinned Harry, not as a man, but as a symbol of the life she wanted. That tiny detail shatters the love story. What the world thought was destiny suddenly looks like design. What once looked like magic now reeks of calculation. And it sparks the question Meghan cannot afford. Did she ever really love Harry, or was he always just part of her master plan? The vision board makes Meghan look deliberate, but the perfume incident? That makes her pursuit look downright chilling. Sources claim when Meghan finally met Harry, she wore Princess Diana's signature fragrance, the very scent he grew up with, the one tied to his beloved late mother. When that scent hit him, Harry was overwhelmed. The emotion, the connection, the sense of fate, it all washed over him like a tidal wave. He felt destiny. But Meghan? According to those who knew her, this was no coincidence. This was strategy. Cold, calculated strategy. It wasn't just the perfume. It wasn't just the board. It was part of a larger pattern. Every step chosen carefully, every detail staged, all designed to bind Harry to her. And if their first meeting was staged, then how much of their love story is real and how much was manufactured? For years, Harry stood as Meghan's shield. He fought the tabloids, pushed back against the palace, defended her at every turn. He became her soldier, her protector, her partner against the world. But now, the voice shaking their marriage isn't coming from Buckingham Palace or the British press. It's coming from Trevor Engelson, the man who shared Meghan's life long before Harry ever did. Insiders whisper that the revelations have rattled Harry to his core. Sources inside Montecito claim he's been retreating into private corners of their mansion, avoiding Meghan's infamous outbursts. One insider summed it up bluntly: he's tired of defending her. Every time he thinks the storm is over, another scandal erupts. And this time, it's from her past. A past he can't control. And the obvious point legal experts kept raising: if Trevor's claims weren't true, Meghan could simply deny them. She could go on stage, face the cameras, and say, "That's a lie." But that's not what happened. Instead, Meghan panicked. And in the court of public opinion, panic speaks louder than denial. Her lawyers scrambled, but without an NDA, their power was limited. Trevor's words were already out. The damage was done. And the more Meghan tried to silence him, the louder his voice echoed. Behind the glossy gates of Montecito, whispers grew louder. Staff began talking about a strange hidden space inside the mansion, a private soundproof chamber they allegedly call the Rage Room. Former employees claim this room was built for one reason only: to contain Meghan's volcanic fury. Designed to endure screaming, sobbing, and even the crash of flying objects, it was supposedly the one place where she could completely lose control. And after Trevor's revelations exploded across headlines, insiders say the Rage Room lived up to its name. 2 vases shattered, a lamp went flying, glass rained across the floor like storm debris. Whether the room truly exists or not almost doesn't matter. The symbolism is enough. To the public, Meghan projects composure, elegance, the picture of poise. But behind those walls, a completely different woman, a duchess battling demons of her own creation. As the chaos escalated, Meghan's calendar began emptying overnight. A high-profile women's business summit in Los Angeles? Cancelled. A charity queue and a session in New York? Cancelled too. PR insiders admitted the obvious. She wasn't stable enough to face the cameras. She knew the very first question would be about Trevor, and she had no prepared answer. But in the court of public opinion, silence is rarely strength. Silence looks like guilt. A woman with nothing to hide could step forward, look the world in the eye, and deny it all. But Meghan didn't. She pulled back, retreating into silence, and that silence roared louder than any denial ever could. For years, Meghan's brand had been built on 3 pillars: empowerment, authenticity, resilience. She was the outsider who beat the odds, the duchess who refused to bow, the woman who gave a voice to the voiceless. But Trevor's revelations flipped all of that upside down. Suddenly, authenticity looked like cold calculation. Empowerment looked like ambition at any cost. And resilience? It began to look like unhinged rage. Audiences revisited her old podcasts, interviews, and documentaries. What once felt raw and heartfelt now seemed rehearsed, too polished, suspicious. People began asking, were these really confessions from the soul, or carefully staged performances designed to win sympathy? The line between truth and theater blurred, and Meghan's carefully crafted image started to crack wide open for the world to see. And here's the chilling part. What Trevor has shared so far might only be the tip of the iceberg. Sources close to him whisper that the most damaging details of their marriage haven't even surfaced yet. Out of respect, or maybe restraint, he's held back. But now, with Meghan scrambling, Trevor is said to be weighing his next move. A memoir, a second interview, and this time with receipts. Inside Montecito, Meghan's legal team is in full-blown overdrive, racing to block book deals, drafting desperate new letters. But without that NDA, their hands are tied. For once, Meghan's legendary control is slipping. And that is exactly what makes this moment so dangerous for her. Because for years, Meghan told the world one version of events. She was the misunderstood duchess, the silenced victim, the outsider crushed by the crown. But Trevor's story doesn't come from palace insiders or tabloids. It comes from the man who knew her before the fame, before the fairy tale. The man who saw her without titles, without power, without cameras. And now, his silence is broken, and his voice is only getting louder. The question now isn't whether Meghan can silence Trevor. The real question is, who else might follow him? Because once one voice dares to speak, others often do too. And that's the nightmare scenario for Meghan. Imagine it. Other ex-friends, distant relatives, maybe even former staffers emboldened by Trevor's courage. One domino falls, and suddenly the wall she spent years building starts to collapse brick by brick. Right now, Meghan is teetering at the edge of a reckoning. The truth she tried so hard to bury is clawing its way back to the surface. The silence she demanded from her past has been shattered, and the man she thought she left behind for good is finding his voice. This isn't just a scandal. It's not just juicy rumor. It feels like the beginning of something much larger, because the truth, if these sources are to be believed, finally has a voice. And for the first time in years, that voice is not Meghan's.